Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. We back with the third transmission. I. We're doing something different today. We moving between some cafes. We gonna cafe hop today. Play what we got lined up today.
Right now we at Salvation Cafe. This is in 44 Stanley. Nice little vibe here, 44 Stanley. A lot of nice little stores
In the
up
heart
here
of Jersey.
in the heart of Jersey. But
Yeah.
it's nice. And then we're gonna head to Breeze Block. That's also in Joburg. I don't remember exactly where, but it's in Joburg. Then we'll probably end it off at Father Coffee, hottest coffee shop I know personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
What you been up to lately, player?
These days, I've been reading the National Development Plan. Just trying to kind of understand that as a part of my work and what I do, but that's my own shit. But beyond that, recently finished the audiobook.
You also got something.
Food came up. Yeah, I did. Yeah, but I recently just finished the audiobook on the Wright brothers and the invention of
What
the
made you listen to
plane,
that?
bro. Partially because, of course, the Wright brothers came up with they solved the flying problem. So
Yeah,
that's
but
like
you care about
it's
that.
an iconic thing. But what brought me back to it was actually
Yeah.
J. Cole in his new album. Because he talks, I think the Wright brothers are from around where he's from or something like that. Or the place where they flew for the first time, Kitty Hawk, might be around where J. Cole is from.
Oh yeah.
So he's got a line where he says, "The first to take flight from the Ville, I'm a Wright brother," something like that. Yeah, J. Cole's got a line like that in his new album, but it made me go back and want to listen to the book.
And hear
And
the
it's
story.
interesting, man. You see how it's just the same story of innovators. You know, when you look into the stories of founders, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Steve Jobs, just kind of having a vision and having to deal with all sorts of resistance
Kind of being seen as
and
delusional.
challenges and kind of having
Quacks or
a
kooks.
crazy level of obsession. And that word quacks, it's back then, you need to understand, bro, like late 1800s, flight, people couldn't fly. It was like, the idea of flight was like this, it was like a mythical thing. And the people who get obsessed with flight, it was apparently a common perception that people, as they got older and stuff like that, they become obsessed with flight. And once you become obsessed with flight, it's like,
You're going.
Like
you're,
he's gone,
You're
you know what
detached
I
from
mean?
the realities of
yeah,
life.
because it was so far fetched. And the Wright brothers, they did some business things together. They opened a bicycle shop and they used the funding from their bicycle shop to begin looking into flight. And they're obsessed with birds since they were very young. They're
Are they
obsessed with birds. And
brothers?
the
They're not
concepts-
twins, ne?
They're brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah,
Aye.
Wilbert and the other one.
What's the difference? Do you know
It's a few years difference. It's a few years difference, but they
you could be
became
like the Wright brothers, dude.
Hey, good.
Gotta create something, son.
They became obsessed with flight, and yeah, people thought they were crazy. They'd be on the beach, like looking at all the birds and how the birds moved, and like they'd be mimicking the wing movements of the birds, and people would look at them and just think like, this is crazy. But the way that they built flight, they figured out flight. They tried to understand the way birds move.
Almost reverse
And
engineer
yeah,
in a way.
exactly.
Inspired by
But just
nature.
seeing that whole narrative and how they did it with like minimal resources, while other people were pumping hundreds of thousands into research, and they're the ones who figured
And
it out.
then once
you
they
know.
did that, broke the paradigm.
Broke the paradigm, yes. And then within a year of them flying for the first time, there were dozens of people who had built planes, and there were competitions to build planes, you know. And back then, there was an articulation of how quickly technology evolves once a breakthrough's been made, you know. And that's like,
Was that
Early
before?
1900s.
It was before they invented the plane.
yes, but I'm saying a year after they invented the plane, there were like dozens of other people who had who could fly now. And
It's
there were
like- is it
competitions
Moore's law?
for flights.
Is it called? It's not Moore's. The one of chips double every word. It's Moore's law about the
think it
exponential
might be.
growth of technology. It's Moore's
yeah.
law.
Yeah.
It's Moore's law.
But it's just interesting
reminds
to hear
me-
that articulated from like the 1900s when
to
flight was
see
created.
how almost not eternal, but these things have been around. And
And
same
also-
things repeat over history.
Also, they were kind of within their community, although the main thing they're known for is flights, the Wright brothers also at the forefront of like developing very dope bikes and evolving the use of bicycles within their community. And you see how there's always kind of contestations and challenges to technology change. They mention how when they started like making bicycles and selling them en masse to the youth in their community, people would complain and say like, the bicycles are making kids go far away and they're no more close to home. You know
Oh,
what I mean? And it's
shit.
affecting their ability to spend more time with their family. But there was like real opposition to.
But at the point
kids
when it's a
on
change,
bicycles, bro.
because it's a change, because it's new, the mind resists change in a way. So you perceive a problem where a problem doesn't necessarily exist.
Exactly.
So because you're
And
not used
now
to kids traveling far, you perceive that as a
like
problem.
It's affecting their proximity to the family. What things are they going to learn when they're going to other communities
Wow.
and they can't be watched and shit like that?
But when you hear of such complaints on such simple examples, it almost it stimulates your thinking about where we're doing that now on things that we think are not
Yes.
that simple. Like we think are, but no, it's different.
Because us
You know
growing
what I
up with the
mean?
bicycle was like a baseline. It's just a normal
It's
part of the
not
reality.
even like, what do you mean?
So for like our grandkids or kids even growing up with AI from when they're young and being able to ask AI questions and engage with it is going to be like, it's going to be a part of the environment. So how does their reality? I don't think we even know how their reality
Augments
looks.
The development of kids. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. But speaking of the Wright brothers, when you mention, you know, the eternal story of like innovators and people who push shit in society and like, you know, start new chapters in all sorts of industries, it brings up the chat,
Yes, sir.
the forever chat about the fine line between like genius and madness, or delusion and pure confidence.
That's a very real thing.
You see that thing with like people like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs and other great creators. Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, it's especially visible because they're
They're the prominent ones.
they're
also.
prominent.
But it's
recent
like that
creatives. And
across
then like Kanye West on the
industries.
creative in the creative
Also, the
side of
founder
things.
of Rolex. I was listening to his story recently, but back then, watches weren't something that men wore. Like men didn't wear things on their wrist, and primarily men would have pocket watches, and he had to kind of reshape the narrative about watches to make wristwatches a thing that men could wear, that people wouldn't look at as like quote unquote like kind of gay. You know, like he had to change that narrative, bro, and he speaks about consciously having to change that narrative.
And at that time, it might have been seen as he's a bit crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
what's the line then? Like, when is someone crazy? When are they a genius? What are the metrics? How
I
do you
don't know.
tell? Can you tell ahead of time?
I don't
Because
know.
we can agree that there are people that are geniuses and ahead of the time that are perceived as somewhat crazy or quacks. That's normal.
Yeah.
But we can also agree that craziness is a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's dangerous because the danger for me is in one, the minor danger is that you mislabel someone crazy when they're actually
A genius.
bringing something new to the reality and like bright.
Yeah.
But the other danger has to do with people who are kind of crazy thinking they're geniuses, or for you as a person, like
It's
you
a very
become
delusional.
you become
might be very
delusional,
much out
delusion.
of order and leaning more towards crazy, but in your mind you rationalize your out of orderness as being a genius.
So,
it's a
how do
tricky
you
line.
differentiate for yourself? For others, like
I don't know.
That's the line.
In my mind, I'd say the person who considers themselves a genius, there has to be some sort of grounding in reality and actual results that
some
that
kind of
supports-
output.
some sort of output.
But
that
sometimes the
supports-
output takes time.
That's what I was getting to. The output does take time, and the point is, crazy is part of genius, bro. I mean, you know the story of like Steve Jobs. That guy was kind of nuts, bro. You know what I mean?
He was. I
Like,
mean,
he
for
was-
example,
he was
they,
kind of
they,
nuts.
they talk about in his autobiography by what's that author's name?
Walter Isaacson.
Walter Isaacson. One example. There's multiple where you realize that this guy was a special character. One of them, it talks about how when he was at Apple early days, he wouldn't shower for days on end
Yes.
because he was on like a fruit diet, and he was convinced that because of his diet, he didn't have unsavory bodily odors.
And people always tell him, "Dog, that's not the
Despite
chat," but he
obviously
believed that.
smelling. Like,
Yeah.
from his family, like, bro, you smell. His colleagues, bro, you smell. But his steadiness of mind, or his belief in his ideas and how he saw things, led him to ignore the information that was contrary to his belief.
That same belief in his ideas and how he saw things is what allowed him to
Build
revolutionize
Apple.
the computer space, the graphical user interface, the cell phone. You know what I mean? Music, how we engage with music and streaming, stores.
the way the iStore and how he.
See, so those things coexist. Also, like in Elon Musk, he's
So the
kind
same thing can manifest as genius, or the same thing. That's certainty of self.
What is that thing? I think it's what is it?
It's
what
a
is it?
certainty
What
of
is the
self.
word?
It's a self-confidence, bro.
It's a self-confidence.
Somewhat delusional
Because also,
self-confidence.
like when we're talking about
Borderline
these founders,
delusional self-confidence.
we talk about these different founders and like this idea of like the fine line between crazy and genius, and how a lot of high level founders are genius. There's a podcast called Founders, and they basically just break down the stories of different founders in reality. But the guy, I think it's David Senna, something like that. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But what he often points out, because he's read like hundreds of books by hundreds of biographies or autobiographies of different founders, and then he consolidates the ideas and speaks about them. But something that he always mentions is that belief
Audacity.
comes before capacity, bro. Where all these founders, you look at their childhood stories, there's always this emphasis on like this guy
always
believed
grabbed
when
himself.
he also maybe didn't have a reason to believe, and maybe it would have been good if he didn't believe, because like why did he believe? But the belief always comes before the capacity and the reality a lot of the time. And you see how that
Yes,
you see
because
that, how that
because I see with the guys, there's a good story where the belief comes before the capacity, but the capacity actually develops. But there's
Yeah.
a guy somewhere who just has the belief and it never materializes into some kind of output that
Okay,
is
I think-
genius.
I think that is maybe it's just also a part of reality and the outcomes of the world. It's like how they
You
might
know
be
them by
many-
their fruits.
They might, yeah, but it's there might be many different artists who are talented in a number of ways, but the way things are distributed, it's only 0.5% or 1% who will actually pop and be able to make a sustainable living and become rich. But that doesn't mean the 99% of people who didn't pop are all not dope artists. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work for everyone. And it's also it's the environment. It's what you do, but it's also
There's
the
many
environment.
variables.
There's many different
There's
variables,
many variables,
bro.
but I think one, let's say for the self, me, let's say,
Somebody's
how do I
crazy.
know? Because I think a pillar of success, like you say, on the Founders podcast, what that Bruce says is that the belief comes before the ability. Or what was the word you used?
Yeah, that might actually
The
be
belief comes
the better
before the
word.
ability.
Or the capacity. Yeah,
Or
belief
the
before ability.
capacity. So personally, one of the keys to success, not personally, let me say in general, is that you must have borderline delusional belief in yourself and what you're trying to push.
Yes.
Again, generally, when you read autobiographies or biographies of great people,
That is
the
a
word
trait.
audacity, audacity, audacity. This guy has the audacity to say,
I realize
we're
this.
making mankind a multiplanetary. That's audacity.
Musk.
It's audacity, bro.
It is audacity.
So you have to be borderline delusional to like push reality to a certain place.
Yeah.
To push reality to a certain place. How do you keep that within reasonable limits? How do you keep your
I think
your extreme self-belief and stop it from tilting into delusion?
it's like what Jesus says, you judge them, they will be judged by their fruits. I don't know the exact thing, but I think that's like a good way to
By the fruits you will know them, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to also in your reality get a sense of how well aligned you might be with who you think you are or trying to become.
look
It's
at
like,
the outcomes of
what
your
are
way
the
of
outcomes
being.
of reality? What are the outcomes of like your health? How are you health wise? How are you maybe money wise? How are you fitness wise? How are you socially in the way you engage with your family? What types of things have you brought into the reality and are you like what are the fruits of your life and your creation?
And I think it's
you know?
important when you
And
I
you can't
agree.
lie about your fruits.
By your fruits you will know them. But I think an important thing to mention there is that you might want to say in order to tell if you're being delusional or not, whether it's like grounded self-confidence or delusion, you need to look at your fruits. But your fruits doesn't necessarily mean like the money or the product you've produced.
Yes,
because
it's
that
not-
can happen later.
and there isn't. I think there's like
So there's
This-
deeper fruits of character.
there's a superficial level
how's
of
your-
fruits. It's like the material thing.
But that's not the main thing.
That's not the
But
main
I
thing.
think
Definitely
The main fruits to look at
your
is
state of being.
your state of being. Are you generally
Content.
stable, content? Maybe does your reality revolve around a lot of conflict? You know what I mean? How are your relationships?
Are you good with people? Are you helpful? Are you a useful human being to people?
I think that's a good one. But
You know?
as I said that, I thought fucking Elon Musk, his life's kind of a wreck. He's a conflict. Conflict surrounds him, bro. You look at how he ran his company.
On a lot of levels.
But like,
Also Steve Jobs.
so those fruits didn't really. You can't judge him by those fruits,
but he's got other fruits.
which is the external outcomes.
Yeah, and the creations. But I think
How do you know? How do you know?
I think we're all here to bring certain fruits into the world. And the question is with your makeup and like your unique set of characteristics based on your genetics and your upbringing, it's like the certain fruits that you're well positioned to bring into this reality. And are you bringing those fruits into this reality? And that's like a personal thing. That's like you looking into the mirror. And you might know that, like, maybe I'm not the guy who becomes the big baller. I just don't have that. But I'm really someone who, when I show up in a space, I can, like, provide a good energy and everyone kind of feels
So
comfortable.
what are
and
your
has-
fruits? Are you an
like
apple tree or an orange tree or?
It goes back to
Yeah, I see what you mean.
the Stoic saying that I think was on, I don't remember where, man, but know thyself.
Know thyself. That was at the.
Where was it?
It's
Some sort of temple or something, man. Or monument.
Delphi. The word Delphi. Apollo's coming to me. It was the oracles. Yeah, on some. The temple of Delphi or something like that.
but I think the point
at the
is
top of some Greek temple or
Through
some
knowing
shit.
thyself,
Know thyself.
you can have a perspective of what you are uniquely positioned to bring into this world. And by knowing that, you can see your fruits and know if you're bringing the fruits that you should bring into the world. And that's how you
And
can
there's a
maybe-
need for honesty there.
That's how
also.
you can navigate whether you're functioning in the realm of genius or craziness. It's like are there fruits?
Hey, but it's like
a
you say,
complex
a lot of the time they intertwine. Because I'm hearing you, dog, and I'm trying to pass this thing through, but
Yeah, I
I keep
know,
thinking
yeah.
about Elon Musk. I keep thinking about Steve Jobs. They were genius and crazy at the same time.
Yeah, and the thing
They
is,
were
we're
actually
trying
they
to-
actually cooked,
We're trying
bro.
to bring. We're trying to rationally and with our reason and logic,
Which is a limited
understand the forces that allow those people to do what they do. And the point is also, you look at a Steve Jobs, probably even by his own saying, the forces that allowed him to do what he did were far beyond rational.
Yeah,
Steve Jobs was
he's
an
a hippie.
extremely spiritual person. He
Took a
says
lot of
something-
acid.
Took a lot of acid, number one, which really opens your mind on another fucking level. When he was young in high school, took a lot of acid. He says his favorite book when he was young was the autobiography of a yogi. Which
No, he
is
said he read that book every year.
every year.
And then there's also a time
And that's basically what's the autobiography of yogi about.
it's about Yogananda. I think it's Prahamsa or Prahamasa. I don't remember his name. But he's like basically a yogi who was transcendent, and it's hippie shit, bro.
Could perform miracles. And it's about
It's hippie shit.
that yogi's journey meeting all sorts of other
Gurus,
yogis and
gurus and
gurus
yogis.
who could perform all sorts of miracles. But basically, it's showing that there's people who exist on a spiritual realm who are able to contort and distort reality in
Bend
multiple
reality,
different
change
ways.
the laws.
And beyond the autobiography of a yogi, he went on a fucking pilgrimage to India for like how long? Some months or something.
Some months
bro.
when he was out of college, I think, at an early age. And then I think there's also a time where they talk about how he gave a lot of his closest staff or the executives at Apple at a point, be here now. It was a
Be
book he
here now.
distributed,
That's written
at
by
Apple. Ram Dass.
Ramdas.
But
Yeah.
very clearly, he was psychedelic in his
Yeah,
outlook.
exactly, and that's also like there's a flavor and a part of life that's beyond like reason and like what we can talk about and put a finger on, and that's that spiritual shit. You know what I mean? And that's as people who navigate reality in very reasonable and logical spaces. We studied science and engineering. We're like
Yeah, and we
professionals.
did well. We're
There's
like
always
smart, quote unquote.
quote unquote, in a logical
Relatively,
sense.
yeah.
So there's, although we ourselves, we consider ourselves relatively corny, but quote unquote spiritual, but we know how that those spiritual concepts that one might hold onto and actually drive them through reality in a reasonable way, they're so far from reason and logic that for us as the professional, logical, scientific people that we've grown to become, we might not even engage in that spiritual conversation with a lot of people.
Because I know
Even
what
though
you
we
mean.
know it's real.
It's not something that it doesn't appeal to the realm of logic.
Yes,
It's
which is a
not-
realm we play a lot in.
Yes, and but you come to know that it's an interesting thing you mentioned, because I mean, from an early age, not an early age, like what, grade 10, the bulk of our interest was in exploring spiritual topics.
Reality. What is reality? What is life? What is God?
And as you grow and we engage in logical fields, like you say, engineering,
they-
science, you come to realize that like you can't talk about that stuff and try to box it in the framework of rationality and logic.
Through that
so
lens,
if
exactly.
you interpret reality through a logical and rational framework, spiritual concepts sound crazy. And so you end up like just not talking about them. I don't talk about this shit to a lot of
'cause-
people because it just doesn't fit in that box.
Yeah.
You can't convince someone of that
Yeah.
reality.
But
know
there
what I
are
mean?
ways. There are ways to speak
are
about
ways.
it
There are.
in a logical. It's just that's another level,
But
to
like-
be able to articulate it within like a logically sound way with like a
I think to try and create a bridge, somehow create a logical, somewhat
but also
logical
why
bridge between the logical perspective and just that
I'd-
which is transrational.
I'd argue that everyone's kind of on a journey to understand reality, even the scientists. You know what I mean? Because like science, biology, chemistry, you're trying to understand the components that make up this reality, how we can use them to our advantage, but how that tells us about why
But the
things are
schools-
what they are, And that's personally that's the reason I studied science, bro. I wanted to study reality.
Yeah.
But to me, that's one toolkit, and I'm not like a fucking top scientist. I can't speak like I'm the guy, but that was one toolkit that allowed me to understand things from a more scientific level, biologically.
the scientific
why is this?
toolkits-
Why are these trees green? Why do they grow like that? Why do they grow towards the light? Why?
So it's an
why
exploration.
are we identical
but
twins?
that
Why do we look the
scientific
same?
toolkit that's used to explore reality, its fundamental tool that it uses and holds as the highest tool
It's logic.
is logic and reason, logic and rationality.
Yeah.
That is the it's the thing
It is.
of science. It's what science holds as
But the
highest.
underlying
we use
part-
reason and logic.
But the underlying part of me that led me to go into science is the same underlying part that leads me to look
Yes.
into spirituality.
But
And what's that?
spirituality doesn't hold. It's a need to explore and understand reality.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But the difference with the realm of spirituality now is that it doesn't necessarily hold as its prime tool of exploration
Logic.
reason and logic. So you start to get into a space where you're open to experiences you can't explain and phenomena you can't explain. Not everything has to fit into a
That's
rational
complicated.
framework.
That's complicated.
So now you're dealing with perceptual tools like intuition. You know what I mean? It's no
Well, what
longer
is intuition?
the
It's what I
tool is
feel,
reason
bro.
and logic. It's like
It's
it's
different.
intuition, it's feeling, it's right brained.
And
Science is the left brain.
There's a bit of
the
there's
right
a bit
brain
of,
is the spiritual.
I think in reality, there's a bit of a fear of that sometimes because you can't put your finger on those right-brained intuitive things, and the fear is that what if someone falls down this path of deep intuition that no one can really put their finger on, and they're like lost. And that's what happens when people go crazy. It's like they tapped into something, but it's no one. It's so far away from logic and reason that we can't. We might not even be able to help you. So although I know, I really feel like the real answers on the deepest level, a lot of them also come from that intuitive, right-brained,
agree.
non-logical side. There's a risk with also delving into that you're aware of because there's
It can
Craziness.
just send into craziness. And I think
and that's a thing. And
This
when you've
is-
seen craziness, you know what I mean. It's like it's something that you become aware is a potential reality.
it's real. People go crazy. But I think a dope distinction to make. This is something I
We
learned
must-
from
we must
listening to what's this
tap into
guy's
the
name?
child soon, eh?
I forgot his name, but he developed holotropic breathwork. Stan Groff. He used
Yeah.
to do psychedelic research on LSD.
Mm-hmm.
Then they shut down research on LSD, and then he realized that you can actually use
Breathwork.
He tried to
induce those
say
states.
he realized when people had certain spiritual experiences that breathe in a certain way, so he reverse engineered that in a way to say, okay, what if you just breathe in that way? Can it induce psychedelic experience? And
Breathwork.
basically, it's called holotropic breathwork. Yes.
Okay.
But he creates this three-layered distinction where he says there's the irrational. One, it's not logical, it's not reasonable, it's cooked, bro. You're cooked.
Yeah.
There's the rational. It's logic, it's reason. You're grasping reality through that faculty of
It's
logic and
both.
reason. And then there's the trans-rational, which is not irrational, but it's also not reason. But it's not below reason. It's not craziness. It's another perceptual framework of understanding and analyzing reality that's not rational and logical, but it's not the thing below rational and logical.
It's about both. It's about both.
It's above it, but
But I guess that's an
it's
attempt,
hard to articulate
it's an
because
attempt to articulate that kind of intersection of the logic that allows us to build things and understand reality scientifically, and the intuition that we
Yes.
all feel and know we have, and that mediums and shit like that tap into.
yes, but you see, the key thing is that there's two sides to there's two things on either side of rational. It's irrational, you're crazy. There's transrational, this is some higher level shit. But if there's something that's higher than rationality, which we call transrational, it's beyond rationality. Language is a rational, logical, like it's a rational, logical means of communication.
Yeah,
So by
it is.
definition, language can't pierce into the transrational because
Structured.
it's a structured form of
Very structured.
expression.
Yeah.
So you can't actually describe the transrational. And so
But that's also like you see when you the Tao,
yes,
the Tao, the Eastern philosophy by Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. I was listening to Alan Watts speak about that recently, man. But there's this continuous emphasis that it's like the unseeable and unmovable thing within which everything exists, and you can't really define
But
it.
you see, as
it's
they-
like the way your finger, the tip of your finger can't touch itself, but you know it's there. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
unless there's a reflection, you can't really see yourself, but you know that you are in you. So it's like this. The Tao is like this constant flow and source of energy that flows through everything, but you can't really. When you try to define it, you lose it, bro. Also, when you
And-
read the Tao Te
and
Ching,
you can only know it by knowing it.
the Tao Te
You
Ching
can't
is-
know it by reading. You can only know it by knowing it.
Yeah, the Tao Te Ching is a collection of poems by Lao Tzu, who's I guess like the guy in what Taoism.
Taoism, yeah.
But it's just a series of poems that just like show this contradictory nature that there's this thing that we want to understand that
And it's so
creates
poetic.
everything, but you can't understand it. But in not trying to understand it, you understand it.
But you see that's.
But it's like you see
but
when
you see
even
what
when
that
I
is
say
transrational.
that,
Transrational.
but even when I say
It's
that,
beyond rational.
someone can hear that and think that's nuts, bro. Shut the fuck up. You know
Yes,
what I
but
mean? Go back to
but
school.
you see the idea that
Transrational.
If you imagine, is there something above logic and reason? If there is, it can't be described with language.
It
So when
can't.
something like the Tao Te Ching tries to point to it, it's like
it's like
say
a-
like it says
poetic.
things like the Tao, and this is not a
With a
direct
way.
quote, but I'm trying to give an idea of what it sounds like. It's like it's everything,
but it's
but it's
nothing.
nothing.
Exactly.
It is the in between, the below, and the
And the
above.
above.
You know.
And to be above, you have
must
to
be
be
below.
below. Yeah, exactly. It's the type of shit.
And he who's below is always the one who's above. And the ruler must be
Yes,
the
they
one
mention
who's the
that.
servant.
Yes,
but
they-
when you serve, you rule.
It's
It's always
actually that thing, but it's like you don't really hold on to anything, and through not holding on, you allow things to be and can be with the thing that's being. You see, I
But
don't
in
even
allowing
like-
things to be, you are the thing that holds everything. But again, if we were to imagine that there existed something beyond,
Beyond
logic,
logic, how
and
would that be
rationality,
described?
something transrational,
to be described poetically,
it would
in that
have
type
to
of way.
become.
Because you can't speak to that
Can't
through
pinpoint it.
the logical
trying to, like-
structure of language. Also,
You're trying to point someone in the direction.
like you're approximating it. This is the you're trying
You're dancing around it in a way. You can't
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah.
You
Hey, that's
can't
what's
touch
up.
it.
Our food's getting a bit cold. I say we tap in.
Yeah, I
man.
say we
we'll
get
be
the
back.
eats.
We'll be back. We'll
Easy.
be back.
Salvation Cafe.
Hey,
Let's
well,
see how that shit tastes. Yo. We back at location 2. We started it off at, where were we before this?
44 on
Place called
Stanley,
Salvation Cafe on Stanley.
which is within 44 on Stanley, which is just like it's a
Nice
spot
little setup,
between
man,
buildings
area.
with a whole bunch of cafes and restaurants.
They know Stanley, dog.
They
But
don't,
now
bro.
we
Not
at-
everyone does.
I don't know, man. We at Breeze Block. Nice little spot in Joburg. What part of Joburg is this? Should actually check on the map.
I'm not sure. You found this place, but it's kind of slightly out of the CBD. But it's like these old suburbs that are right outside of the CBD.
Yeah, but it's a nice setup. It's
Yeah.
a nice simple setup.
Yeah, that's what's
So
up.
that's where we at.
Me just catch me a little smoothie, and we'll keep it rocking. What you
Yo,
been bumping these?
I wanna just finish off the topic we were chopping about at Salvation there, to say, noting that there's a fine line between maybe delusion and genius, but also simultaneously noting that in order for someone to become something in the reality and to birth new things into the reality, you have to have an extreme level of self-confidence. How does one protect against that being delusion?
Yeah, but
From
also
my
self-confidence is not arrogance. I think it's important to say that, 'cause
Self-confidence, not
arrogance and
delusion.
self-confidence are two different things.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also delusion.
Yeah,
For it to not be delusional,
yeah.
that's the angle I'm looking at it from. For it to not be delusional,
I once had the thought because I was thinking about how
how can you embody that self-confidence of a Steve Jobs but still maintain like sanity? And I think there's two, as far as my thinking goes, two things you want to incorporate, or two actions you want to continuously take in order to make sure that your your confidence is not delusion.
Yeah,
One, you want to maintain humility. That's like primary. Your
non-negotiable.
confidence,
Non-negotiable.
you need to be maintain
Non-negotiable.
humility so that you can take feedback
It's easy to fly too high.
and ensure that
If
you're
you're
not
not
flying too
humble.
close to the sun.
Yes.
Yeah, or else if you're not humble, you don't take feedback. Then there's
As
no
corny as it is, that's why humility is such an important character trait.
grounding.
Particularly as you start to elevate in life and do great things. And if you're a talented person, it's easy for you to get to a place where you think it's all because of you and you're better than the people around you. And that ends up just rubbing people off the wrong way. And it inevitably leads to a downfall because you can't function and live with other people in that way.
Word. And then two, continuously take action. And that ensures that that you're grounding your sense of whatever knowingness you have, you're grounded in actual progress towards a particular outcome. Because you can believe you know and understand, but if you don't take action, you never test your knowing against the world.
Yeah, and action
You know
also
what I mean?
it forces feedback.
Yes.
So there has to be a feedback
Yeah, and if
from reality. And if you're
action
wrong,
can humble you also. It can help
Exactly.
humble you. You
Yeah.
take the action thinking you're right, you fail, then it forces you to not stay in line but adjust your coordinates. You know what I mean? So
Valid.
continuously take action, remain humble. And if you do that while being exceptionally self-confident, I think that will protect you from becoming a delusional individual. You know?
Delusional, arrogant, out of touch, unappealing character,
Unhinged, the problem, the cooked.
unhinged. It's like
Cooked.
Yeah, but that's the risk. That's the thing of flying too close to the sun. You know, humility is supposed to help you, like not go too close to the sun and burn, bro. That's what it's supposed to help people do.
Be humble.
Otherwise, what you been bumping these days, man? Music wise, what's on the playlist? Play.
Yeah, Coop.
Young Coop. Yo, brother Cooper's something else.
Yeah,
bro.
Coop.
I'm not like a super trappy guy. I can appreciate the trap. I'm mainly like hip hop, rapidy rap, alternative shit.
Conscious.
Brother Cooper, vibes, bro. You don't listen to that for like some sort of like
Just
logical
for some
left
context,
brain,
Brother Cooper's
intellectual.
a young South African trap artist, hip hop mix.
Yeah,
One
but
of the young new wave type of
What I'm
dudes.
saying is, as people who've listened to a lot of music, to get like some sort of like you listen to the lyrics and you listen to it from a logical standpoint and you appreciate that,
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
they're
yeah.
saying. Cooper's not like reason or logic, but it's energy and vibes. And it's in the production and just like the unhinged,
feel.
out of pocket things that he says, and it's just it's hitting on a feeling, man. And right now, yo, that vibe. I listen to that shit every time I run. That new project of his, it's just
Yeah.
it's
But
vibes,
that,
bro.
that vibe of like Cooper again, you know, it's like Playboy Cardi.
It's not logical.
Irrational.
It's not meant to be rational.
It's vibes, it's energy. It's not about conveying a particular concept or idea or teaching. It's just about feeling good and being very not left brain people, but people who've engaged in the left brain sphere of life.
You're always looking for that.
For the left brain, thoughtful, deep,
Yeah.
you know, Nas, Jay-Z, and fucking, I don't know, Dead Prayers, like people who are
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
preach
yeah.
to you and like talk about a
Articulate
concept.
something in a rational way.
And a lot of
That you can
people,
follow.
like also maybe like the old heads of hip hop,
They still
quote
want that.
unquote old heads. When you're very rational in your outlook to life and logical, you kind of undermine the value of, or you don't see the value in just the free, irrational, unreasonable stuff. You think it's stupid.
Yeah, but I think that there's definitely a space for that in the world, and it's kind of very.
No, and I'm
it's
agreeing
very-
with
yeah,
you.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying that
it's
it's easy, you can see how it could be overlooked.
Yeah, that's why even before getting into the discussion of like, yo, I really fuck with Young Cooper, we feel the need to preface that by saying we usually listen to like the rapidy rap stuff, but this other stuff is also dope because we're aware of that level of judgment by maybe like old heads or people who might be who might resonate with us more on that logical side of our reality.
Yeah.
But that young
Yeah,
young
cool.
Cooper, young brother Cooper's something. He's on
Yeah,
some shit.
he's nice, man.
What else
That
is
young
hot these
dude is
days, man?
nice. What else?
J. Cole, of course.
Yeah.
J. Cole, of course.
Yeah, that's album of the year for me so far. Incredible, hip hop's finest. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really been listening to anything new. Bump that Stogie. Stogie was dope.
Stogie is fucking dope.
Enemy.
At the start of the year, end of last year, it's nice. I enjoyed that project a lot, man. I enjoy also rap that like makes you want to learn it. You know, like when you were kids and we'd like burn CDs, bro. We literally burn CDs and listen to it on the radio, and while listening to it, look at the lyrics on Rap Genius. Even before we had access to Rap Genius, write the lyrics and like try to like comprehend and like learn the lyrics, because learning the lyrics and being able to comprehend them and say them, it felt cool. It felt like stimulating. That's how I felt about the Stogie project, because you listen to these pictures that he's painting about South Africa and the dire situation that we're in and the struggle that we come from, and like but there's this alliteration, there's like metaphors and double entendres, and it's like
References.
there's like a mental, it feels like there's a mental gymnastics to being able to recite that, you know. So the idea of like, I don't
Recite
write the
and
tools, I
comprehend
just like I'm gonna comprehend this and be able to spit it. It's like for the sport, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
And it makes the ability to articulate and understand concepts cool.
Yes.
Which is that's like what hip hop was in its original form. You know?
And I still love her. Talking about hip hop, you see, on the new J. Cole album, he's got that song, I Still Love Her, which is one of the best songs. But basically, it's a metaphor where he basically speaks about hip hop as, this is a concept that's been done by a lot of hip hop artists like Common, also Freddie Gibbs, where you speak about hip hop as a woman, and they always articulate like a love for hip hop since they were a child, and then they get their heart broken, and hip hop takes this other direction that they didn't expect it to take, and it's ignorant and it's no longer bringing knowledge and like black consciousness
about
and
shaking
power,
ass and
you know, and
popping
then
bottles.
maybe they learn to love it again.
You can bring it through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Americano.
That's the smoothie over there. But then they learn to, after like hip hop has taken this degenerate, thank you very much, kind of like degenerate path that's not reminiscent of what it used to be, they learn to love it again, or at least that's what J. Cole says. Common in his the version he dropped of the song in the 90s, I think at the end it's like, I don't love her anymore. Like that's where he ends it.
She lost her.
She lost her thing. She's no longer the girl that I used to love now, you know what I mean? But the fact that there's this theme of people personifying hip hop and speaking about it as like a woman in their life that they have this like
It changes.
engagement with,
Love,
and that
hate
changes.
relationship.
But that again speaks to, I think it speaks to like what the impact that like hip hop has on people's lives. Because like one thing that has a major impact on any man's life is like their love life and their relationships with women, you know. So a way of articulating like how
Significant or important.
significant, like deep an experience you have with this thing is through that metaphor. Yeah, it's a cool thing.
I see. Word.
I still
But I
love her.
still love her.
I still love her, man.
Still love it, dog. You know, we still love it, dog. It's the Brother Cooper shit, you know? It's, in terms
not
of
the
it
same.
being different.
Yeah, and
But
initially
that's not a problem.
Initially, when like that level of
Change,
irrational hip
Mumble
hop
rap.
vibes, mumble rap, bro, we used to be so anti that shit. The skinny jeans, the mumble rap, the dreads and the
Not
tattoos
really
on the
skinny
face.
jeans, that
Not
was
really- yeah, but
Lil Wayne, but yeah,
you know,
I know.
initially there was like a resistance to all of that, because it's like we want like the real raps, the bars, like Nas, Jay Z,
the
you know what I
primary
mean? Dead prayers, like
hip hop was built on what it was like it was built on in its origin being conscious, like, you know, you're flexing your learnedness and consciousness and awareness
and
through your
sharing
raps.
that awareness.
Yeah, that like I'm tapped in.
Exactly.
It wasn't, that was what was cool. It wasn't about
I'm wild, I'm crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, so when it
it
started
was
to
different.
transition into
The game
that,
was different.
but even back then, the articulation of like I'm wild, I'm crazy was more cool, man. Like Jay-Z's articulation of like wilding out and liking women and stuff wasn't like, it wasn't unhinged, bro.
Yeah.
I love girls, girl. You know, it's like it was
It was
cool,
articulate.
bro.
It was
I'm fucking a
articulate.
bitch. It wasn't like
It was articulate.
it wasn't like that.
It was articulate. It was articulate. There was left brain to it,
But now we find ourselves also vibing out to that other side, you know,
which is dope.
and that's dope. Both dope. It's evolution, man. Things evolve, you know. Things change
sure.
with time.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
You know, this weekend, I had a homies hosted a fire ass house party. Shout out the boy, shout out host Steph. It was a very interesting experience I had when I was there, bro. There was a brew there, man. Recently divorced, bro. Recently divorced, you know? And, man, it was just... bro, like... This guy basically was ranting, bro. He was articulating how he met this girl, he fell in love with her, he had a kid with her, they got married. When they were on the come up together, he loved her so much, he helped her get like work and shit like that and like put her on, you know? And at a certain point, she got to a point where she was doing better than him. And when that happened, she changed, she flipped. And you could see he was trying to make sense of all of this. And he's like telling us like, bro, I do
He's a
this.
grown guy.
I have, I think probably like 30s. I have this
Nice.
company, we do this type of work. But he's like, he's basically telling us his accolades as a man and like what he's built. And it's like real shit. I'm doing these deals. And it's not enough for her, bro. And you can, it's messing with him, dog.
It's breaking his framework of what is value in the reality.
Yeah, and that level of hurt. Hey, you don't wish that upon anyone, man, because it's like a betrayal on the highest level. But again, the question that makes me ask, it goes back to that conversation of like, if you're a woman and you're with a man, would you stay with him if he loses his job and his like financial position of like being the leader financially in your reality?
Or if you overcome him.
Or if you overcome him, like,
you go beyond him.
will you maintain the attraction that you had for him as the man? And is it even fair for us to expect her to maintain attraction for him the way she did before?
What this brings into my mind when you talk about that, it's the idea of core confidence versus situational confidence. Not necessarily talking about confidence now, but in another context, your masculinity. We can maybe say core masculinity versus situational masculinity. When your sense of self, your sense of worth, and your grounding in the reality as a man is based on your situation, external circumstances, how much money you've acquired, it's breakable. You know what I mean? It's breakable.
You're right. And yeah, okay, finish your point.
It's breakable.
Yeah.
But when you go to core masculinity, now I'm working off the concept of core confidence. Core
And
masculinity
that's more
is a
your
masculine essence
and your character
that is independent
of the
of
superficial
your
and the surface level.
external situation. So
But
your
it's
money's
related
up,
to it in a certain extent.
your
but
money's
it's
down.
independent of it.
Whether your money's up or your money's down, you believe in yourself.
And that's
you
the
show
thing.
up as a man.
If you show up as a person with that superficial grounding of your masculinity and your money and what you have, that's like the level that you'll be engaged on. And when you lose that, you lose it. And of course, the attraction changes. But if you
Yeah.
show up as the person who's more grounded in your core, like a more character-based masculinity that's independent of what you have and what you make, then the woman that you also attract in your life, I think they also, of course, they like the nice things which you want to have, but their primary point of attraction would be to that core, because that's also how you show up.
yeah, but
and
then
based on-
the attraction is actually for you,
Yes.
as opposed
And not
to
what
the
you
things you
have.
bring or have. But you see,
But
this
that
is
guy,
also-
that guy was definitely more on that superficial level, because he kept going on about like what I do and what I have, like I've done all of this. Like, why can't you just love me? But
But
can
then you see
as
the-
soon as she overtook him financially, because now he was no longer that. His
Ahead of
power
her in
was
terms of
what his masculine power came from what he had
yeah, but also
and what he could
in
provide.
terms
But
of-
now when she can provide that for herself and she's above you, it's like you're no longer the broer.
Yeah, but also in his chat, the fact that he was placing a lot of emphasis, from what you're saying, on the things he did and provided shows you that he was probably he perceived his offering to be that. Maybe that's the first mistake, is that
Possibly.
he might have, from what you're saying, that's how it validates his position as the man in the
His
relationship
primary value.
through what he's providing.
And the thing is also those, you see, when something as deep as a relationship and a marriage, when the foundation for a lot of that and how you approach it and your position in that is based on what you can provide and like what like superficial things like money and the things that you have around you, that's an unsustainable foundation to build a relationship or a marriage on.
building a house on
because those
sand.
things are cyclical, bro.
Variable.
Those things are cyclical, bro, and those things are cyclical, and that doesn't. I'm not justifying like not making money and not being good. You gotta fucking make money, but if that's the foundation of like your sense of value, you're not gonna be. Life is cyclical, man. You also read the stories of any
It's an
successful
unstable foundation.
entrepreneurs and people who build real things in life. There's always this cyclicality and bankruptcy and ups and downs. So if the foundation is the money, it's just based on the cyclical nature of life, you'll be fucked at a certain point. But I guess these are things that we're also just articulating to understand for ourselves. Shout out to him. He's a very cool guy, man. You know, you can see he's just going through a lot, and he was offloading on us for hours, bro. It was kind of like a lot for everyone in the room, you know what I mean? But I understand why,
The real dilemma.
because he was dealing with a lot, and maybe
the
we
reality
get
of
to
betrayal.
learn, that maybe it's not best to base your value as a man on what you have. We can learn that lesson by seeing that mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But also
Yeah.
where I think seeing that mistake, and also the people you listen to, like your online mentors, quote unquote, what are they advocating in terms of the
they're
reality?
making what we're saying.
I mean, we
Advocating
got
for
a
what
lot of that narrative from our
we're saying, that
online mentors.
your foundation can't be based on just what you have and like the material and superficial. It's got to be a lot deeper. The world's got to run deep, bro.
And again, the Stoic philosophy. I recently read Epictetus, Letters of a Stoic by Epictetus, one of the Stoic philosophers.
Yeah.
But his emphasis is on the distinction between internals and externals. Externals being everything that's around you, life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Internals being your state and how you respond to reality.
Yeah.
And his emphasis is on the fact that the only thing that matters in reality is your internals, because that's all you have control of. So he says, where does good and evil lie? In your internals. Because
Yeah.
that's all you can control. Good and evil can't reside outside of you because you can't control it. So
Yeah.
don't worry about the perceived good and evil outside. How you respond to reality is what marks good and evil for you.
Yeah.
And then he also says, where does happiness, peace, contentment lie? It doesn't lie in the externals, it lies in the internals.
But it also can't
But
lie
the
in the externals.
practicality of that internals externals differentiation is that the externals, and this is emphasized again
They
and again
fluctuate.
and again by Epictetus, are not in your control.
Exactly.
It's that illusion of control. So if you're basing any kind of deep and fundamental value on externals,
you're subject
you're building
to
your house on
the
sand.
rhythms and the whims of the external environment.
Building your house on sand. So the
Exactly.
idea is to be a stable individual and to achieve sustaining sense of the good life,
Yeah.
eudaimonia.
And I
you
think
have to focus your attention
on the
and your
internals and
judgment
your state.
on what you control,
And that's
which
it's
is
always
not outside of you.
it's always important to balance this perspective and make it clear that although the most solid foundation to build a fulfilling life on is an internally sound state, it doesn't mean that you can't go out there and play in the external world and win. And I think at the highest level, or at least maybe not the highest level, what I'm attracted to as a person is cultivating happiness internally within yourself, regardless of whatever's happening around you, as that's like the foundation, but still being able
Yeah.
to play the game of life and win.
Yes,
Like
yes, actually
in
win externally,
reality, you know?
become rich,
and like
boom, boom,
play,
bam.
like get in the gladiator ring. Maybe you die in the gladiator ring, but you wanna be able to. You don't wanna like neglect, because like this external reality that's cyclical and got ups and
part
downs,
of the
night and
game.
day. It's part of the physical condition of reality, and you can't.
No, you don't ignore
You
it.
don't want to ignore that. Also, you're having like a bit of like a half experience, you know. So you want to be able to
Yeah, 'cause
fully
the
immerse
reasons
yourself
you
in that
came here
experience
for that reason.
without allowing the nature of that experience to destabilize
Again,
you.
in the world, not of it.
So you can always be
So
good.
you play in the world,
not of it.
You play in the game. You recognize it. You respond to it, but you don't perceive it as the end all and be all, or you don't ground yourself in it.
You're not of it, but you're in it.
I mean, it's just like a video game, bro. You play the video game, you enjoy it, you're trying to reach the last level, but you don't get attached to the outcome of your character. You don't allow that to dictate your state of being.
Life is the most real game. I think that's like
And maybe
that's such a real
just
thing,
like a
bro.
video game, you play life. You play it.
You play
But
it and
the
you do your
player
best.
inside of you, your internal state, shouldn't fluctuate with
Based on the video
situation
game.
of the character in the video game.
Exactly.
So while you're in it, you're not the character.
And on a certain level,
The deeper you is not in the
what's the
external
you
game.
that's exactly
There's a you beyond the game.
because the external game, like you said, fluctuates. It's this reality. It's you passed, you failed. She likes you, she doesn't like you. You're making money, you're not making money. But there's
Things come, things go.
things go. But there's the part of you that's always there and always watching these things happen. And that's like it's not in those things. It's just it participates.
It's holding the
through-
controller.
It's holding the controller.
Yeah.
And that's like, what is that part?
yeah.
It's the
Soul?
inside.
I don't know. It's the inside. I mean, it would be described as the soul, the spirit, your true self.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to go into that spiritual jargon.
me.
You can just say it's the core of your being. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I do believe that. I do believe that part, that there is like that like I'm not, in my mind, I kind of think I'm not this, bro, you know? It's like this is like I say, this is part of the game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing this
Character.
game as Karabo and it's dope and I'm fully immersed in it, you know what I mean? But there's a part of me that's playing this game that's not this thing, bro.
Yeah, that's
You know
not
what
your
I mean?
body.
But like,
Yeah, what is that?
yeah, and it's hard to talk about that without sounding like a fucking quack, you know?
But it's the spiritual shit. That's what it is.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
You know, when
what
I talk
mean?
about this, I'm just imagining people listening saying, "Hey, this guy's gone." You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
that's again, it's an awareness of the modern world as it exists, and in terms of like education, the focus on logic and reason is primary,
Yeah.
and as like the highest modes of interpreting reality. So whenever you touch the spiritual, you're aware that like, hey, this is getting a bit off that track.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
It's real.
But there's a lot more to it.
It's
There's also,
real.
you see, like, just back to the topic of basing one's,
Topic of what?
having to base one's state of being on your internal state of being and character. Like, the foundation for your wellness has to come from your internal state of being and character, independent of what's happening around you and what's happening in the world. Related to that, fuck, I was gonna make a point. It might have run away from me. Related to that, it's like, you know, the story of like the depressed, unhappy billionaire. That's like it's such a repeated thing. And of course, it might be easy to say if you're coming from a position of privilege, but like those things make it clear that you can you can achieve such high levels of success externally and still not be content, bro. You know what I mean? Like Elon Musk has said publicly that like I'm not
You don't
happy,
wanna be
bro.
me.
You don't want to be me. But would you rather be happy in hell or miserable in heaven?
Happy in hell.
Exactly.
It's the chat. That's the chat.
Exactly. So it's like it's
So
also
about
like what
it's about your insights.
what are you optimizing for in life, you know? What are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for externals at the expense of like the internal state, which is a constant throughout all those
I think
externals?
everyone is trying to reach a
Happiness.
pleasing, joyful, happy, peaceful, fulfilled internal states.
The question is the path.
Trick of the game the apparent deception, apparently, and I haven't lived enough life to say whether this is true or not, but the trick of the game is thinking that the acquisition of external things can lead to that fulfillment internally. That's apparently the illusion. Apparently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, and from what you're saying, somewhat validates that to
Yeah.
say you can get the internal things, but that's not the path.
But I
bro.
think there's like a baseline of external things that one has to get just to be comfortable. You know what I mean? It's like you need to be able to eat. You need to be able to have like human dignity. You gotta be clean. You need enough money to be clean and like have a decent space and eat. You know? But like anything beyond that is not necessarily gonna make you happy. I want a lot more beyond that. I want a lot more beyond. Hey, bro, I'm trying to get a lot more beyond that. But I don't think that's going to be the thing that
It'll help the
makes
life
me
experience.
happy.
It'll make it dope.
It adds color. It adds color. It makes the life experience dope. But wherever you are, it's you, bro. Like you can go on holiday to a very beautiful place and like I enjoy it and you don't enjoy it and you're in your head and you're worried about your shit. And it's like
Yeah, but then
it's
another,
still you in all those places.
wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Another chat that this brings me to is I forgot what I was gonna say, man. That Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's kicking in, son.
Don't joke like that, player.
It's kicking in,
Bring it
son.
into reality, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about like as you say this, because you say there's a baseline level of external stuff required to maybe be happy. And
Just to be okay. Just to survive.
I wouldn't say we can go with that. I'd say there's a baseline above which you can't use your circumstances as an excuse to be sad or depressed.
Yes.
There's a baseline. Maybe like once you go below that baseline, it can be reasonable to say, "Oh, I understand your depression."
And that's why I say,
say
that. Because some people are actually like they're not trying to hear the answer's not in getting money chat. It's like, bro, I just need like good shoes
and
on my
that's-
feet. You know what I mean? And
That's a valid.
That's
I think
valid.
it's. In fact, I think it's real.
it's valid. Yes, exactly.
I think it's real.
So you just
But
gotta-
another side of my like fucking woo-woo mind. is-
At the highest level, you can be a poor man and like.
But now
miss
my
out.
thinking is like, and this to me is the topic that fascinates me most. Period. It's the basic question of the effect that your state of being or the kind of thoughts you have on reality. Like,
There you go.
what influence do they have on? What influence do they have on reality?
Yeah,
and what I'm trying to
that's-
say is, 'cause
Yeah, that's a deep
you were
question.
implying that you get a threshold of externals, and then that allows your internal state to piggyback off of that, and that's that trap again of externals fulfilling you. My question is, what if you feel a certain state first? Does that
So like
in
the
reality
belief-
can the state come
the
before the
belief-
external just to I'm okay and
It's
then
like the chat with the
and then the externals will fulfill themselves
It's like the
in
chat
a
we were having
sense.
earlier about the geniuses and the kind of common pattern in the Founders podcast that they point out about a lot of these revolutionary founders where their belief in themselves comes before their capacity and the skill.
Yes, but now you see what if like the
It's also like
belief
in
is
terms of-
causative. It's
In terms of
causative.
having
It's
a
causative.
good, pleasurable reality where you have a good internal state and things work well for you, even externally. It's like, do you have to? What role does believing that you are that person
Is
have
it
in creating
causative?
that?
Is it causative? Is the belief in something causative?
In spiritual texts in general,
They
you know,
say
also
yes.
even like the Bible, when you talk about faith and so on, it gets to a point where there's this.
What does Jesus
There's
say?
this perspective
Ye of
that-
little faith.
Yes, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain.
Yeah,
You get to
but
that
also
perspective where
look
it's
at
like,
the lilies in the field. Like, basically says these things don't worry about how they grow.
Yeah.
And then it says the birds don't worry about how they're gonna get food the next day. So my thing is, can you focus? If you focus on your internals enough to the point where you're okay to, and also in the autobiography of a yogi, this is what's articulated. Like, you're okay to the point that you trust in reality so much, you don't worry about the externals
and because of
working
that,
out.
things work out.
But the ideas
The idea
that is causative in getting things to
the
work
idea
for you.
that's the nature.
It's causative. It is
Like
causative.
that's the nature of reality is one where with a certain level of knowing, either through faith in God or
Faith
in
in
yourself, or just through knowing.
According to your
you
faith, be it unto you.
through what
That's Jesus.
your reality is created based on what it is that you know, consciously or unconsciously.
But that's like when you
It's an
just
idea
say
that's
it,
articulated a lot.
it's like woo woo. What the fuck do you mean? And I want to take this on a bit of a story just to explain why that thought seems seems like wrong.
Hi, player.
We generally think
Let's come with the parables.
we're materialistic and like our kind of education system and the way society values and elevates logic and rationality, which are of course it's one of the key things that separates us from animals. Leads us to
Facts,
think in a very
important.
materialistic way.
Yeah.
And in materialistic reasoning, we see cause and effect as something that's based on what you can perceive as physical. So,
Material force leads to something.
yes. So in terms of in your reality, how do you create the favorable reality?
You have to do things.
Action.
Force, action.
In the materialistic paradigm,
Yeah, within that paradigm.
your action creates outcomes. And then when you think of the effect of thoughts, we think of thoughts as only being a precursor to action. That's like
but
your
what are
thoughts are only
thoughts?
as powerful as the action they get you to take. This is the materialistic
That's how I think
perspective
about
of how you create reality. Like your thoughts only matter as a step one to action.
Yeah, the only way you do things through actions, through like actual action, a physical.
Yes, that's
action.
what's real.
The thoughts are
But now- but
thoughts
now-
are just there. A cloud.
The philosophers and the kind of spiritual texts,
The woo-woo stuff.
what they suggest is that no. Your thoughts are not simply a precursor to action. Your thoughts or beliefs, your faith,
They also have a force.
actually has its own force
Yeah.
that you don't see because it's not a physical thing like I sat for 3 hours every night and worked on this thing. Now there's a tangible outcome. But like your thoughts go into the world and they do a thing.
That you might not be able, you might not
Then the
be
thing is you
aware
can't trace
of.
back the effect.
Yeah, and because you can't, there isn't like a one-to-one. It's like here, I press this, I hear the sound. There's a one-to-one kind of correlation between what I do, the action, and what I get back.
Yes.
The idea is that your thoughts also, the way they can permeate reality and result in things that you can't necessarily throw directly back to your thoughts.
Yes, and this is where now
That's where now you see that it's like because that you can't logically
pinpoint
scientifically
causation.
pinpoint that, so it becomes weird.
It becomes weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't pinpoint how most of the outcomes of your reality come through. Like a lot of them.
That is true.
You get in a car accident. Why you? Why did it happen? You have some kind of lucky break or outcome. Why did it happen?
Why were you
have
born, bro?
synchronistic
Just on that
events.
level.
Oh, you were thinking about this person, then you bumped. How did that happen? So, it's kind of arrogant
To think that
to think that we
with
understand
our logic
how
we
all
get
things
it.
are caused.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to discard the possibility of thoughts being a causative force in the reality implies that we understand what causes all things. But you don't understand what causes your luck. You know what I mean? You don't understand when you're on a wave of good fortune why that happens. You
Yeah.
don't understand when things are spiraling downwards why that happens. And maybe it's random. Maybe there's no causation to it. But the thought that your beliefs, your state of being, your thoughts are actually causative on a realm that you can't see fascinates me. And it's a thing I'm
also just a
exploring.
very-
It fascinates me, bro.
It's a very,
It fascinates me.
it feels, I don't know, it feels like that idea feels powerful, man. I don't know, every time
Feels real.
you engage with it,
Feels real.
every time you engage with that type of idea through like a deep, like either listening extensively to someone who's articulating it in an interesting way, like an Alan Watts, or reading a book where that theme of your thoughts and your faith in yourself or God or whatever, bringing about reality being a thing. Whenever you engage with that idea,
feels real.
it moves you in a way that
There's an internal
Other things
perception of something is there. But
Yeah.
then people would say it's wishful thinking. Like they
it's
say
hard to put a finger on it because again, It's transrational. It's beyond like the rational and the logical. So you can't really
It's
perceive
transnational.
it
It's
or-
transrational or irrational. We're not sure.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing.
You can't perceive it through the lens of logic and science. So
Yeah.
there's the risk that it's next level and it's the answer beyond our confined logical perspectives of the world. But there's also the risk that it's too fucking crazy.
It's just
bro.
irrational.
And for some people, they're fucking crazy.
Yeah, and they can hold on to those same principles and manifest them in a way that's just crazy.
But then you get a Jesus
yeah,
who
exactly.
says, "Bro, I know God, bro. This is faith. Bro.
I am the
Be
Father
of
of
little
one."
faith, dog. Give me the bread. Give me the fish. We all gonna eat, man. I walked on the water. You can walk on the water too,
Yeah.
nigga. You know.
And then you
Jesus.
also have a lot of, I mean, these people are out there, bro. There's a lot of
Yogis
great
also.
philosophers and yogis and gurus who've articulated certain ideas and written books about their apparent experience, and they speak on this alignment to
Miracles.
something, and
Or the ability for that.
and the ability for the thing to just things to work.
Yeah, but the ability for that understanding that your thoughts create your reality to lead to the unrealistic, which is miracles.
Yeah.
It's like that's like the point is like this thing can do anything, you know.
Yeah. But then the mind, and again, you see the mind builds things, but then the mind, if you read like Eckhart Tolle, you know, the mind is the problem too.
The ego,
It can block you. The mind can block you.
because it's also got
Because
its
as I
own-
articulate this, you know,
Thanks a lot, Boza.
the mental, thank you, Poza. The mental counter argument is, oh, that's wishful thinking, bro. Religion is the opioid of the masses.
Opiate of the masses.
Have faith. All things are possible through Christ. It's like
can
no,
be
no,
an opiate.
That's wishful thinking.
It can
You're
be
just
an opiate.
trying to walk
But you see,
into
it also
reality.
can be an opiate.
It can.
It can be like it can be a tool to let go
Ignore
of any
reality.
responsibility to
Yes.
proactively engage in the game.
But that's the thing with these things, I think. Like with something like the law of attraction. And also religion. All of these deeply profound ideas and concepts that try to point towards a reality that's not necessarily materialistic, that can affect the material and that is said to be real, can be used on both sides. On the irrational side, the crazy, the cooked side, by the psychopath to justify nonsense, or like by the crazy person to justify nonsense.
And on the
but
good
it
side,
can also be
the
the
proactive
basis of someone who's actually like breaking the rules of reality or moving at a higher level.
But it can also be used on the side of extreme evil and extreme good. So maybe these tools they exist beyond the good and bad of reality. So people can tap into them and use them on
there's-
any side.
There's the ability
what
to
I
use
mean?
them on any side.
And sometimes that the ability for them to be used on the
but-
dark, irrational, out of order side leads to a doubting of the capacity for that tool to be used on the other side.
But you see,
know?
when you say, I wasn't talking about the good evil distinction.
Yeah, I just brought that in. I
I
brought
was
that
talking
in.
about the real, not real distinction.
Yeah, okay.
Someone who's not grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of people who blow top, they're like, it's not uncommon for them to be very religious in their outlook of reality and think they've comprehended the highest concepts. But clearly, like, this person's kind of unhinged. So, I mean, if your experience of religion is through the crazy guy who's always talking about signs of the times, you think those teachings are nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those teachings can also inspire someone who's grounded in reality and walking on water, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So they can be the basis for insanity. And then someone uses those narratives.
be the basis
and
for genius.
It's actually a reflection of the insanity. They can also be the basis of genius, and someone
it
uses
depends-
those narrative of faith and it actually reflects.
It depends on what you see also in your reality. So if the examples in your reality that you've engaged with of people who are quote unquote spiritual and religiously or spiritually aligned are like people who are just basically quacks and out of order and on drugs and not in control of their life and can't keep clean, it's like, of course you associate that spiritual perspective as like a nonsense path. But if there's examples in your reality of people who are consider themselves spiritual and living and existing from that place, who've built sustainable lives and take care of themselves
can
well,
participate
and
in
you
the
look them
rational
in
world.
their eyes and they're like you sense a certain level of power and understanding and
beaming,
wisdom
they radiate
and an
something.
energy. And if you have those examples, then You know, this idea of like the spiritual path and faith become more. It becomes more attractive and like, okay,
And more
maybe that is a
digestible
path.
as something that might be of real tangible value as opposed to just wishful
But I
thinking.
guess the point is also this, like the idea of spirituality. It can, of spirituality and being spiritual, it can manifest in ways that are not really life-giving and aligned with what we might consider to be light.
Yeah, it
and
has
beautiful. And it
its
can
own
also
polarity.
manifest in ways that are aligned with light and beauty, you know?
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
But what does that all mean? You decide, you figure out your path and you explore. But that thing of I'm deeply attracted to it, and being like a logical guy who can think logically and rationally, I take this to be an experiment. Like, I'm not vouching for the reality of it, but I'm very consciously running the experiment of seeing how my thoughts, beliefs, and attitude affect my reality. Like, I'm kind of I'm betting on that being real in terms of how I'm moving in the reality now. I'm really trying to consciously curate the way I think, my beliefs, and my attitudes to see if those actually have a causative effect on the reality. You know what I mean?
Let's give this
I'm
niggas
betting
2
on
years.
that,
If this
bro.
nigga goes crazy, then we know.
I'm betting
We
on
know
that,
why,
bro.
but I hear the
But
chat.
I'm betting on it as an experiment. Like, I'm running the experiment.
Yeah, but that's also part of that running the experiment. That's like also that's like the rational side of you trying to come to terms with this irrational thing of
And also accepting
faith
that
and thoughts creating your reality,
it might be cooked.
which I think is a healthy approach to
It
it.
might be cooked.
Yeah, that's what's up, brother, man. That's what's up. We out here, we back, baby. We at our final stop for the day. Father Coffee, beautiful spot in what's the area called?
Cramerville.
Cramerville, closest to Santon. It's a very
It's the north.
it's
the north.
It's a very nice spot for coffee, man. You know, all sorts of unique niche coffees that can be prepared for you in a variety of ways, different filtration systems and stuff like that. So for coffee lovers, you can get a very like dope coffee experience here. But
And they roast their own beans, yeah. They got a roastery in the back.
and they got a wine bar. You know, we came for coffee, but hey, man, the wine was tempting. Needed something
Wine is
refreshing.
cooling.
You know, the heat is up, so we thought, hey, let me get me a nice chili white. Look how refreshing that shit look, dog.
Yeah, it look good, man. And it tastes good too.
It's fire.
It tastes good too, no lie.
That's a white. That's an orange. How does that taste? It's orange wine,
Orange.
apparently.
But
how
it's
does it taste?
orange. I don't know how to call it orange.
I wonder why it's called orange wine. It looks orange, I know that.
It
But
says here that it's a Sauvignon Blanc. So it's a
Huh.
white. But maybe those are whites.
can I taste that shit, though?
Maybe specific
What's
whites.
it?
There's whites that fall on the spectrum of orange for some reason.
Yeah, but that's also nice. It's got a unique. It's kind of fruity. It's got a fruitiness to it.
I want to compare them.
It's got more fruitiness. It's fine. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's lighter.
Yeah.
Doesn't have as much of the strongness to it.
Oh
But we out
man,
here, man. We out here. It's a Tuesday afternoon.
it's just another Tuesday, you know.
Just another Tuesday, you know. Some brews are at work. We cool it.
Every day we cool.
We cool it. We living different. Don't worry what we do.
Just
my
know we
dog.
make it work, you know.
We make it work.
Put the puzzle, the pieces together, and we here.
I'm
We
playing.
chatting,
People are
drinking
gonna
the
think, hey,
Chenin
what do
Blanc.
these brews do? Rich kids, hey. People are gonna come with their own theories. Nah, we just cool them, man.
We make it work.
We make it
That's
work.
the point.
Until it doesn't work.
Life is about making it work. It always works.
Boom.
That's like a philosophy.
It
you know what I
always
mean?
works. Yeah, in that new
That's a
Jay-Z
decision you
thing,
make.
He says the same line in his old interview.
That
with
interview
Kevin
was
Hart.
dope.
But that new interview where he says nothing happens to you, it happens for you.
That's a paradigm.
the same
That's a
thing he
powerful
said
paradigm.
in the Kevin Hart interview, like, I don't know, 4 years ago. That's an exact quote. Fucking Bashar says that shit. But
Yeah.
like, it's a general spiritual philosophical concept.
It's also what we were talking about earlier, the internal and not the external.
Yes.
Where instead of being a victim to your external circumstances or thinking things happen to you, you perceive everything as just happening for whatever your internal state is meant to experience, you know?
Yeah,
Just like,
but-
it's happening for me.
But when, you know,
It puts you, in a,
Jay-Z
it puts you in a position of power.
yeah, when Jay-Z says nothing happens to you, it happens for you, it it focuses on the fact that your interpretation of events is what's primary.
Yeah.
To say that it doesn't happen to you, it's for you. So that if it goes left, it goes right, it goes up and it goes down, you always interpret it as happening for you. In that way, it always is good in the way you
Yeah.
receive it.
And that's a decision you make. I think it's a perception related decision that you can make to allow you to deal with the complexity of life and not like be
Now, my question
destabilized by things, bro.
about that decision of perceiving everything as happening for you and happening in your favor, in a sense, is that just the perception that you choose to hold for its pragmatic benefits, or is that actually true about life?
It doesn't matter. I think it's practically so useful that it might as well be true.
Yeah, but there's also
You know
in
what
the
I mean?
philosophy of science, I remember one concept where you try to define what is truth. There's a school of thought, pragmatism,
Falsification.
but also there's pragmatism, which says, is it pragmatism? Hey, I might be getting this shit wrong, but from what I remember, the
gotta be useful.
pragmatic philosophy of life says,
It's got to be useful.
if it's useful, it's true.
Yeah.
So the only way we can perceive truth is through its usefulness.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I
it's
mean?
also
And it's maybe the right way to say it is it's true enough. If
And
it's
it's also-
useful, it's true enough.
the beliefs that you hold, bro. It's like ultimately, what do you want out of life? We want like a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment and like to be content, you know? And if
Yes.
the beliefs that you hold aren't helping you be content, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You know? If the beliefs that I hold are quote unquote, extreme example, if they are quote unquote false, but they lead to me living a life where I'm content and happy and balanced within myself and contributing to reality in a positive way, then like, aren't they true?
And then the flip side, if your beliefs are quote unquote true
But they lead to you being
and
miserable.
they lead to you being miserable, then like,
But here it's
are they functional?
I think what we're trying to do also is speak to the definition of what is
What is
truth.
real?
Yeah, like what is truth? To me, truth is that which maybe this also speaks to.
But now it's about your philosophy of life.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. It's starting to paint a
Are
picture
you
of what
nihilistic?
your philosophy
Are
of
you
life
optimistic?
is.
Because if you're nihilistic, then your idea of truth is about the hardship of life and maybe, you know, the destructiveness of man and
reality.
how we're
And
bound.
an inevitably downward spiral in a sense.
Yes, it's a negative perspective
But if you're
of reality.
optimistic, which is where I kind of lean more towards that, it's like I do believe that light wins, but not in like some childish Disney movie type of way, but
it
ultimately
pays to be moral.
It pays to be moral and like and to be a positive human being who's living from a positive space and expressing and sharing things from a positive space. I just think that feels better, bro. I just think that's a purer way to exist. You know?
I agree. And then I think
Yeah.
in the Bible, and this came to me when we started this conversation, 7 days of creation. After everything that God creates on each day,
Yeah.
it speaks to God created this, He created that, and it was good.
And it was good. That was the
And
that was the
it was
title of
good.
our project, by the way.
But why after every day of creation is there an emphasis on it being good? And this is like I had this thought kind of came to me. I haven't had someone say
Things
it,
are what
but
they
I
have to
think
be.
what it's saying is it's asserting this
Things
is
are perfect.
biblically
Things are
the
perfect.
perspective that no, life is good, creation is good
Innately.
because isn't it what we're trying to figure out? What's the reality here? Is it true that life is bad, life is dangerous, life is hard? Is it true that life is good, life works in your favor? But the creation story in the Bible is stating that as a primary definition
At every step
from
of
the
what
time the
reality
world was
is.
created, quote unquote,
God declared that everything
it
was
good. And you can't have faith if you don't believe in the general goodness of reality, because faith implies that things are going to work.
for you. In
Faith
the
is
way that they
optimistic.
should work.
Faith is optimistic.
Yeah. So even in hardships, you have faith and you know that you'll be pulled through it. And it was good. That's a beautiful. That was actually the two of we be spitting sometimes. We got a 2+1, me, the bro, and the homie.
Pace
And our
up.
latest project actually was called "And It Was Good." You know.
But I think in the end, what we're trying to do here was really true. The optimistic perspective or more negative nihilistic perspective, you can't know in all truth. You can't know. You just have to decide what you go with. And if the
Yeah, it's a
choice
decision.
is on you to decide what philosophy you go with, why choose the philosophy that makes you not happy or makes
Yeah.
life a bit miserable.
Maybe choose the philosophy that makes you happy. And if it doesn't work, then maybe you lean towards another philosophy. But at the end of the day, I think it's like you do have a choice, bro. You know what I mean? I think there is you can decide which philosophy you associate with more.
I think you have to decide.
Oh,
You
that's
have to
like
decide
logotherapy.
because the answer's not
Viktor
out
Frankl.
there. You just have to decide.
Viktor Frankl in
Man's
Man's Search for Meaning. He was a guy who survived the concentration camps, and he speaks about his experience in the German concentration camps as a Jew. And it's in those concentration camps where him and so many people were subject to so much struggle that he saw some people come out of that and make it out alive, and some people crumble as soon as they were confronted with that level of like
Malevolence, darkness.
malevolence, just starvation, being overworked and beat up and stuff like that.
Treated
And
like
he came up with one of like an important school of thought within the psychology space, which was logotherapy. And his idea was that in life, something that stuck with me from that book is that in life, every day you don't ask life what it means. Life asks you what it means. And he was saying for him to make it through the concentration camps and, write his book every day and get out of that and still live a life where you could be positive and forgive and stuff like
And
that.
actually then become
he had to
a primary force
give,
in overcoming
despite
that.
all the negative that was coming in to him and that was exposed to in his reality, that was imposed on him, he decided to give life a meaning that was positive and could
And that's an
drive
edge
him
case.
and keep him meaning.
You see through the
keep
edge
him
case.
moving, keep him moving. And the point is, logotherapy, the whole idea behind it, that Man's Search for Meaning, is like, even me as the guy in the concentration camp, the reason why I survived is because I gave this thing a
But that's
meaning.
an edge
I
case.
gave
Do you
it a
see that?
meaning.
At that edge case of the most extreme kind of
He could give it a
suffering,
meaning.
the thing that could allow him to almost bear that was the meaning he gave it.
Yeah.
It was the interpretation he chose. So for you in life, who's not in a concentration camp, whose circumstances are probably somewhat better than that, it should be an easier choice to make, to be optimistic.
Should be. But the point is that edge case could do that, He
Maybe
could
it forces
do
you.
that.
Breaking point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah, but you want to wait for the breaking points to make the choice that would probably be beneficial for you. It's like
No.
for addicts, they say, what is
someone
it?
has to
Must
reach
hit
rock bottom before they can
Yeah,
actually change their ways.
but that's
But
in your
sometimes it's
normal
what it
reality
takes.
where you don't have, the worst circumstances. You can decide to start perceiving and deciding that life is maybe in general moving towards the good. And I think the best thing is
And
to
it was
to
good.
put, quote unquote, put those clothes on, wear that belief and see what it does for you. Now it says you grow in life, like you try on different beliefs, you put on the clothes, you put them
And
on
I'd
in
argue-
different states of being,
I'd
and then you
argue
see,
that-
oh, this doesn't fit well, it results in
You
negative
see
outcomes.
what works best for you and
Take
what's
it off
actually
and try something
pragmatic.
else.
And
Yeah.
I'd argue that like a positive, living from a space of, as corny as it sounds, a space of love and wanting to contribute as opposed to take, I think that it's a useful frame from which to, or a useful space from which to approach life.
It works.
And ultimately, it
It
creates
works.
beautiful win-wins with you and the people in your family and the people at your workspace. It's a positive, flavorful way to live life that other people like, and because other people like it, they also like you, and that feeds, quite frankly,
So
even
it
the
works
lower parts
practically.
of yourself. Sometimes people think like a commitment to higher ideals like love is solely spiritual. At the highest level, it's spiritual. But there's also the point that when you come from love and you're like the sun and you radiate good energy, people like you, bro. And when people like you,
Life
they also
works.
they want to engage with you and collaborate
Gives you more
with you,
opportunities
and
to
they
take things to the next
give you
level,
things. And
create
it feeds,
with people.
It feeds, as much as it feeds the higher level paradigm, it also feeds your ego, which is part of what you live in this reality. So I think the higher paradigms,
is
like
the
living
most
in
functional
love,
strategy
it doesn't,
at all levels.
you shouldn't detach it. You shouldn't think it's something that can't feed like the drive for your ego to feel accepted.
And physical
It will
outcomes.
fulfill that, and your cup will overflow, and you'll be able to kind of
Go to
move
the next
beyond
level.
that. Exactly.
No, I agree with that.
That's why when speaking about these spiritual things, I also want to make it clear that like it doesn't come from a selfish place, but it does satisfy those selfish desires,
And it is a
it
pragmatic
it allows you to
strategy.
move beyond them. I think
It's a
is
pragmatic strategy in the world.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of, oh, in the afterlife I'll be rewarded.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It works now. And I think it works now if applied properly.
Time
but
will
of course,
tell.
if you're using spiritual concepts as a way to escape reality and hide from the truth, where you're not putting yourself out there in the reality and engaging with life and, allowing yourself to rise and fall, but using such spiritual views to shelter yourself or to escape from life, then they become destructive because they can be used as a way to hide from reality.
Yeah.
Like we said before, it can become an
Also, just like
opioid of sorts.
ultimate acceptance of everything, even you fucking up.
Yeah.
Like when you fuck up, you should acknowledge that you fucked up and try to do better. But on a certain level, you also have to accept that you fucked up. But you don't want it to get to a point where you just allow yourself to fuck up now. Because you could
And
get to
it's
that point.
okay.
Yeah, now you allow
Because
yourself to
everything
fuck
is
up.
okay.
You're bummy. You're not clean. You don't take care of yourself, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, bro, it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
The goal, I think, is to do both. Like we always end up at this point, man.
It always ends up there.
Play the game on the physical level and win in the ways that we can here, but ultimately also fulfill like those higher, more quote unquote spiritual desires and urges.
Yeah.
Approximate a
Word.
realization of those.
Word. Preach God.
Preach God. I got it coming off the top. Anything I say is every day is fucking hot. Talking my shit, this, that, whatnot. I'm gonna win, dog. Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not? Oh, God. They say I had to go. I'm never gonna stop.
Okay.
They was at the bottom, but I took it to the top.
Okay.
Nth floor. Going to heaven no more. Infinity, I'm like an 8 flipped over. But never falling off. Got the world on my shoulders. World on my back. Got God on the track.
Okay.
Every time I spit, my ancestors, they rap.
Ancestors in me. Them niggas talk back. I saw one of their faces with a baby when I clapped. Crazy.
Fuck, nigga.
I can't say that. I don't even know what I'm saying. I lost the plot. This happens when you're freestyling sometimes.
This nigga, man.
Sometimes you lose the plot.
Nigga wildin', man.
Kind of a
Those are your real
disrespectful
thoughts.
bar.
Those are your real thoughts.
Forgive me.
Nigga about to get in a car crash after these, baby.
Forgive me, man. Bro. Over time, I've really started thinking about like the double standards in male and female relationships and how realistic it is to expect those to remain true. So like on a simple level,
To hold on to those.
to hold on to those, man. Just on a simple level, bro. Just among a lot of, not everyone, but among a lot of men, there's a bit of an understanding that guys are attracted to multiple women and may want to be with multiple women throughout their lifetime, and maybe at a certain time. That's like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Might not be considered moral, might not be considered the best way to go about things, but that's a thing that a lot of guys feel. Not all guys.
All
But
of
a lot of-
them, baba.
A lot of
Yeah,
a lot of women also say they feel like that, and some people will say no, women don't really feel like that. They're lying. I used to think like that, but I don't know if they're lying, bro. I don't know if all of them are
I
lying.
think everyone is attracted to multiple people, women too.
Exactly. But now, if you, as a man, feel this innate attraction to women and maybe feel a desire to be with multiple women, and maybe think like, I might slip up in a relationship here and there. As you as a person, is it realistic for you to put that beyond the woman that you're with? Like you can be attracted to other one, but she can't have any attraction to
Yeah,
other
I
men at
see.
all. Is that a
Basically-
realistic expectation? I know that's what
basically
we want.
When guys cheat, it's somewhat tolerable. It's not tolerable. It's somewhat to an extent.
It might
but
be
it's worse.
rationalized.
It's worse when a female cheats. That's the perspective you're trying to describe. The double standard.
Yes, and is that valid, bro?
Is that valid? Is that valid?
Especially in this modern day and age, because back in the days also, promiscuity was a lot less in general, but it was more acceptable when men did it. And these days,
Society was structured like
promiscuity,
that.
slut shaming is not a thing anymore, bro. And
Yeah,
always had the
one-
slut walk and stuff like that. The hip hop music these days also kind of, to a certain extent, sometimes the female rappers encourage women to quote unquote be sluts, but it's more aligned with just being expressive and free and stuff like that. So like, it's no longer
that-
shunned.
There's no longer slut shaming too. Modern day developments mean that there's things like birth control,
Yeah.
which means that the
The
risk of a
consequence is the
woman, the
downside.
consequence or downside
Of sexual promiscuity is a lot less.
of having sex is a lot less. And remember, the downside of having sex, one, there's disease, but the other downside, which was maybe the more prevalent one
kid.
in the past, was a kid.
Yeah.
And who bears the burden of that?
The woman.
The woman. Because I can leave.
Yes.
I can. Like, I can be with a hand,
So that's
bust one inside, and leave.
That
But
barrier-
she can't leave the child.
that acted as a barrier to entry to full sexual expression.
yes.
Acted as a barrier to entry
And,
for women.
and it made
now
it
that's been
more,
eliminated.
But it made it more necessary for the woman to be more guarded sexually.
Yes. But also, what
Socially,
was-
it made more sense
what
for her
was
to be
it
more
did,
guarded.
but another barrier to entry for women to just express themselves sexually was
Patriarchy.
patriarchy and the social kind of contract that we had where women who expressed themselves sexually were slut shamed, bro. You were a whore if you
Yeah,
were,
but
if
also-
you were wild back in those days.
But also,
But that comes from the fact
they
that
couldn't work.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
women
those
were basically
dynamics.
reliant on men to earn a living, and so the incentive for them was to fall
Stay
in
in
line
line.
with a society or a perspective that allows you to be favorable for male suitors.
So now
Because you need a male suitor to sustain your
and
livelihood and,
build a
take care
family
of
and so
your
on.
baby.
But now when we slut shaming is not a thing, there's birth control, so women being sexually promiscuous doesn't lead to them having kids and maybe having the guy run away and they have to deal with that, right?
Yes.
And women don't have to rely on a man to have an economically viable life, so they can kind
Essentially-
of move the way that they want to move without having to like be this
The advances-
fucking angel for a man.
The advances of science and
that brings us to a
and
place
lessening of the thing that's the patriarchy
of the
has
social.
freed women to an extent where they've gained the ability to almost operate like men in the world.
Yes, and the question that
Quote,
that
unquote.
also leads me to is like,
Women are free now.
women are free, but also this thing that men are generally more sexually promiscuous than women. Is that real, bro? I that idea, I was very,
Yeah.
as a younger person, I've always kind of believed that to a certain extent, but over time, also just with my
I don't
engagements in reality, my engagements in reality, bro, I think that's like I don't know if that's true, bro. I don't know
think-
if women are innately less promiscuous than men.
I don't
women
think they're
have
less promiscuous.
a lot of women have high sex drives, bro.
In fact, they might be more promiscuous. But I think where the question is for me is when a woman is in love. This is another narrative that when women are in love, I don't know if this is true. I'm just articulating it because it's a thing that when a woman's in love, she loses the desire for other men. Like she actually just wants her guy.
Yo, I'd hope so, son.
She actually just wants a guy.
I'd hope so.
She actually just wants a guy. But
At this
I
point,
mean, when guys are in love, do they lose their desire for their hands?
some guys do,
But
some guys do. They lose
do
desire
they
for
like
other hands.
desire for other hands? Do they
Yeah,
lose
but
that?
some guys do, but
So
I don't
the
think
idea
that's
is
the rule.
But that's also the idea why they say when a guy cheats, it can kind of be forgiven because it's like I wasn't making love to, I was just fucking. But it's like when a hand cheats, bro,
But that
it represents something deeper because hands don't just fuck.
yeah,
But
but
maybe
that-
they don't just fuck
that perception
because
was that's
based on
Hans not just fucking was based on the downsides of fucking pregnancy,
it's based on the way
the social
society
contract
was
with men that they
structured
had where they
before.
were dependent on men and
Yeah.
needed to appease them, and like the concept of slut shaming and stuff like that that are part of that society. That's no more a thing anymore, bro.
Yeah.
And just amongst our age group, dog. Amongst our age group, like the girlies are free, dog, and
as they
they're
should be.
as they should be, exactly.
Beautiful thing.
But there's a lot of wildness on all
Yeah.
fronts, and this is not in a judgmental way. The brews are also wild too. I'm wild in my own little ways. But
You
the point,
wild player, God.
and I ain't that wild. Come on, I ain't that wild. I'm alright. I'm chilling. I'm
You a
chilling.
dog, man.
I'm celibate, man. But yeah, the point is the old narrative that like men are without a doubt more sexually promiscuous than women. I'm really starting to interrogate that idea, and there's this expectation that like women should be, and it's natural for women to
I
be
think
less
the
promiscuous than men.
promiscuity
It's I
idea-
don't know if that's I
don't
just don't
buy
know if
it.
that holds water, bro.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I think also the double standard, like one, we identify a whole lot of social and societal reasons as to why in the past the double standard existed
Yeah,
in terms of promiscuity of men and women.
yeah,
But another thing, I think, because society was patriarchal and primarily governed by men, you must remember that the social norms were structured in a way to benefit men. And you know, guys, bro,
And that is-
where ego,
is true.
bro,
That is
ego.
true.
You do not want your hand having any opportunity to fuck another guy.
So
And
if you're in a
the
position of power,
society
you'll
is
consciously
patriarchal,
create a society and
in which
kind of a mental
it
framework
protects
in which
you from that pain.
Yes.
As a man, you're protected
Ooh,
from
that's
that
very
pain.
true.
You structure the
That
society
is
in a
very
way
true.
where it
That thing is
automatically
it's the
causes
most
woman
shamed upon
to refrain
thing.
from cheating on you. You embed it in the structure.
And maybe you embed it in the structure in such a strong way because you know that it can happen. And it's like also in Islam, apparently, like the more extreme Islam nations, like if a woman for promiscuity, you could get stoned. I'm not sure, I might be wrong, but like you can get stoned. But there's
Maybe
like
in the past, I don't know if it
major
exists now.
consequences. But maybe the reason also why
It's male
men
ego, dog.
structured things like that is in that way, such like a defined structure to make it so hard for women to be promiscuous is because there's a knowing that women can be promiscuous, and
Maybe it's
and
the
the ego
knowing
doesn't want that.
That women can be promiscuous, plus the male ego and its fragility and how you can get hurt
Facts.
by your woman being that promiscuous. So
Sheesh.
society might have been curated consciously or unconsciously in a way to limit that.
But now, if hypothetically we accept this potential reality of like this promiscuity, where does that leave us? Where do we go? Open relationships? But I think nah. I think there is
monogamy can still exist in a
yeah, there
sustainable
is a
fashion.
need. There is a need to not fight, but like overcome the promiscuous urges and not be run by them.
Integrate them.
Integrate them. How do you integrate them?
Yeah, and what
into a
does that
sustainable
mean? Is sexual freedom
relationship
a
and
wrong thing?
family. How do you sustain that? How do you integrate that into a sustainable family?
Yeah.
Answer, nigga.
I don't know, bro, but as a basis and a definition, sexual expression and enjoying sex is not wrong. I strongly disagree with that.
Oh, for real?
With that fundamentally,
I'm
bro.
joking,
Sex
yeah,
is a
facts.
beautiful thing. Sex must be embraced.
Hi, Mr. Sex
Like-
Advocate. This
It's
guy.
a beautiful experience, bro, and I think
get it, bro.
part of the problem with society is the limiting and trying to encase sexual expression. And look, it's safer to try and limit it and encase it. That's an easier way to solve the problem. To say, let's limit sexual expression and kind of limit it to monogamous relationships. That's an easier way to solve the problem.
And that's how
Because once
we
you-
initially solved the problem.
once you embrace sexuality, that can really go left really quickly.
can get dangerous.
It becomes-
disease, kids, instability. It could get dangerous. That's the point.
It requires
That's the point.
it requires more thinking socially to figure out how sex is embraced and accepted while not destroying families and turning society
Also, as
into
modern-
something we don't want.
As modern brews who don't want to deny those parts of ourselves and don't feel like people should deny those parts of themselves, but also acknowledge the importance of building solid, sound,
Stable
structured,
societies.
stable societies and
in which children
families.
can grow and be
think
well
it's-
supported and have male and female influences.
Kind of a responsibility to creatively try and figure that out, you know.
yeah.
And you don't have to figure it out for the world. You at least need to figure that out for you and the people that you engage with in terms of building a family.
But my idea of the solution, as a basis of the solution, primary sexual expression must be embraced, explored, and fully accepted. When I think of what should the solution be, it starts with that definition.
Yeah.
And then we build on that.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe starting with the definition to say sexual expression must be limited. I don't buy that. I think sexual expression is a joyful thing and must not be repressed.
More for
But
you,
now how do
player.
you do that sustainably?
Niggas just saying this so it can be more for you, huh? This is all part of his little game. I don't think a
It's a
nigga's being
scheme, dog.
philosophical. He's trying to catch a W, dog. Easy.
There we don't yet have the answer. We don't yet have the
Yeah,
answer.
there's no answer yet, bro. But it's it's a thing, man. Like I said, I realized that the double standards are it's also kind of fucked up, man. Just if you resonate with the idea of people having a certain level of agency over their lives and being able to express the parts of themselves that they want to express, the way you want to express the parts of yourself you want to express,
freedom, bro.
you can't it's wrong to hold double standards.
It's
you know?
wrong because you don't want to be held to that
Hey,
standard.
fuck
So why are you
that.
holding?
I'll kill you, dog.
Man, why are you holding someone else to that standard?
Exactly.
It's hypocritical in the end.
And that's where you gotta
And
start
there's
to
a
look.
lack of integrity in that.
So you gotta start to look in the mirror and ask
Where you
yourself,
can
like,
cheat, but your
fuck,
hand can't.
how do we resolve this? And that's a hard question. And I feel like Bruce don't wanna ask that question. I know I don't wanna fucking ask that question, bro. But you just kind of have to.
I think at the end of the day, the solution needs to lean towards
Tell
the
us, Claire.
solution.
Give us the answer, my dog. I need the answer, dog. I need the answer,
I
dog.
think it goes down to just becoming a high level individual, so that as you engage in a beautiful, joyful, loving relationship, the joy you experience with the partner is not conditional on them
being whatever it is.
you
want them to
falling
be.
under your rule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You almost love unconditionally in a way.
And to love unconditionally.
In a way.
To love
But
unconditionally.
you allow, bro.
Again, it goes back to the internal. It's like you just gotta be good.
Your pillar is you, not your woman.
regardless of what's happening around
Yes.
you. Else there's a dependence that happens.
Yes,
There's a
and now
dependence that happens when there's
a
dependence.
need.
There's conditions.
And
You
there's a
have to
need.
be this. When you
Yes.
can't be this, I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Now it's GBV.
Exactly.
So I think it boils down to individual evolution in the end. For sexual expression to be thoroughly accepted and embraced in society
in a sustainable way.
in a sustainable way, individuals have to be evolved, especially men, bro. To be able to have your pillar and your stability in reality must be in you. You're not reliant on a woman doing this or that or following your lead and listening to everything you say in order
Valid.
for you to be okay.
The drizzle's coming down now,
You
man.
lead as you lead, and you're free, and then you also allow your woman to be free. Because even me, relationship wise, I want to be free.
You said you've been in a relationship, you've been in multiple relationships.
I haven't. Maybe this is why.
Hey.
But in a relationship, I want to be free. My freedom is not something I'm giving away. So if I decide to be in a relationship, that decision is an act of freedom. It's not an obligation. It's an
Yeah, but
act
you also
of
want it
freedom.
to be an act of freedom for the person you're engaging in the relationship with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they should never feel obligated now to move a certain way in the reality because of conditional relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they decide to move in another direction,
catch the bill, please? Can we
If
catch the
they-
bill, please, Maji? Yeah, please.
yes, sir. Yeah.
Catch the bill.
If they decide to move in another direction, and I don't resonate with that,
Gotta be able to allow that.
then
man.
we allow that, and we can part ways peacefully. But the
That's what's up.
fundamental thing is creating a society of free people, where
Boom.
people are free to follow the highest expression.
Boom, boom, boom.
Trusting in the idea that if everyone's allowed to follow the highest expression,
Thanks, Maji. Thanks,
yeah, you
Maji.
can take them, dog.
Shout out.
Aware. Trusting in the idea that if everyone's allowed to follow the highest expression, and we're all evolved beings, then you'll find someone whose highest expression aligns with yours. Whether that means you both thoroughly resonate with the idea of open relationships, or whether that means in your highest expression
You resonate with the idea of
joyfully
monogamy.
monogamous
Yes.
without it feeling like an obligation. You're not monogamous because you had a kid and now your family needs you to get
everyone
married
committing to a highest expression and meeting on that frequency.
and living their truth,
Yes.
and then allowing yourself
Collaboratively,
to co-create
cooperatively living
other people living their truth.
without imposing your idea of truth on them, without them imposing the idea of truth on you.
Yeah, but then you
Yes.
kind of have to trust that people with truths that align will come together.
That's what's up. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, man.
Yeah,
Transmission 3, baby. One word to wrap it up with. One sentence. You want to say something? I don't know, a bar, something, dog.
Hey man, you say something. Shit, nigga, put me
We
on the
gonna
spot.
say, we gonna say, these double standards, man. Bruce, I think let's think about the double standards, man. I don't know. That's just something that I think about a lot these days. And like, does it make sense?
You
And if
gotta
you're
think
aligned,
about it, bro.
if you're aligned with the idea of people being able to be who they are and express themselves in a joyful way, then like, why are you gonna expect people to do things that you can't do? Is that right? Let's talk about it.
You decide, player. Boo, 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 boo. Peace.